Victoria's Premier has downplayed new polling showing his party's election-winning lead is tightening as support grows for the coalition. Julia Bradley has been following the government's campaign in Ballarat. Julia, Daniel Andrews says he's not reading into the polls, which is not exactly a fresh political line.
It's a pretty common response from politicians, Tom, especially so close to polling day. We're just 2 weeks out from the Victorian state election, and Premier Daniel Andrews trying to make it clear today that he's paid no attention to this latest poll that's come out in the Herald Sun. So it was done by Red Bridge, commissioned for the newspaper. More than 1,100 voters were surveyed, and it suggests that even though Labor is in that election-winning position, they are really being faced by growing support for the coalition as well. So on a primary vote basis, the suggestion is that both parties could be sitting at about 38% when undecided votes are redistributed. And on a two-party preferred basis, the suggestion from this polling is that the coalition has increased by 3%, even though Labor is still in that winning position. We put this to the Premier today. Here was his response.
Well, it wouldn't be a day on the campaign trail if you didn't get to use a campaign cliche, would it? The only poll that matters is the one that started today and will end on the 26th. Just like, you know, every election's close. And some things are cliched, but they're true. And they're oft repeated because they are true.
Interesting to note in this poll as well, one of the questions that voters were asked is which leader they believe is in a better position to fix Victoria's troubled health system, and more voters have suggested that they believe Matthew Guy, the Liberal leader, is in that better position to tackle our health issues here in Victoria. The Premier, though, continues to say he will not do a deal with the Greens or independents in the event of a hung parliament.
Yep. And as you say, we'll hear that a lot from both sides, I'm sure. Meanwhile, the Premier facing more questions about his new back to the future energy policy.
He certainly was, Tom. So yesterday we saw Victorian Labor announcing at their campaign launch that they will provide Victorian households with a $250 cash back. That's for households that compare electricity deals. The Premier also outlining his plan to create 6,000 jobs for apprentices under a revived State Electricity Commission. But we put to the Premier today exactly how his government is going to lower power prices and when Victorians would start to see savings separate from this cashback that's being offered.
Have you done any modelling on how much you think power prices could come down? Is there an indication you could give Victorians?
As I just said to you, I think a number of times now, and the answer won't change because it's the answer, and it's been the answer since we made this announcement. I'm not providing an itemised quote for everybody. What I'm saying is we're going to create jobs. We're going to replace coal with 100% renewable. We're going to embed skills as well, and because there will be enough energy for the future, indeed we are a net exporter and we want to maintain that, prices will always be lower, bills will always be lower, particularly given that we're going to keep investing any profits that are made back into more renewable energy. So it's all about putting that downward pressure on prices. And just think about this for a moment, although I don't think really we need to think about it for much longer. It's just common sense. Just common sense. If it's really scarce, it'll be really, really expensive. And that's exactly what will happen if we ask these private companies, I'll just go along with you and replace yourself. But please don't make any money out of us. Just replace yourself. That will not happen. It will not happen. Or if it does, it'll happen in the interests of shareholders, not in the interests of...
It's a wet and soggy day on the campaign trail today, Tom, here in Ballarat. Labor campaigning in their safe seat of Eureka, which is held on 9.6%. The Premier announcing that if re-elected on November the 26th, his government would spend $170 million on either building new or improving existing TAFEs. Tom?